Thank you for joining us again. We're doing the number 2 part of A Child's War Living on Orkney. As the town hall was well towards the south end, it is not surprising that the audience and performers at a concert there did not hear the siren over the music. A serviceman opened the door, perhaps because he thought he heard something, and got, as he said, the fright of his life as bullets rattled around like hailstones. The audience were clearly safest where they were, so the band was told to play longer and louder. That evening, the German propagandist Lord Haw said that the houses of Stromness had been machine-gunned because so many servicemen were billeted there. The army struggled to cope with the logistics of housing, feeding, and clothing. The sudden influx of thousands of troops providing entertainment for them came well down on the list. Young servicemen, suddenly wrenched from city centers and cozy suburbia, struggled to cope with postings to Yasnaby and the back of Hoy and the Depression, and then the Depression became a serious problem. The solution headquarters came up with was to provide all the small camps with a piano. Here's hoping that most of them found a decent pianist as well. The Army headquarters for all of Orkney and Shetland was in the Stromness Hotel, and there were 30 other Army sites in and around the town, including 9 camps, and the service personnel there were better provided for. Broch Hall, the camp at Burnside above the market green, had a large canteen, and tea dances were held there on Saturday afternoon. In the early months of the war, they also had a faint chance of going to the pictures. Films were shown every Thursday and Saturday night in the town hall at the foot of Hellyhole, and this continued during the war. Of course, the hall could not cope with such an enormous increase in its audience, and you had to queue for an hour for a chance of getting into the movies. It was belatedly realized that a garrison theater was needed in Stromness, and the order was sent. Weeks passed with no sign of a theater until word finally came that it had been sent to Shetland by mistake and had already been erected. A replacement was hurriedly sent, but wasn't nearly up to the standards of the theater that was sent to Shetland. When the Garrison Theatre is mentioned on Radio Shetland, some Stromnesians still think that should have been ours. The Garrison Theatre naturally became the most popular place to go in the evening. Until very recently, Orkney had been at the very end of the line for film distribution, but during the war years, because Orkney counted as an overseas posting, troops saw films before they went on general release. Servicemen could take civilians with them, and every household had soldier friends who dropped in regularly for supper and a chat around a cozy fire. Mum and her friends enjoyed going to the theater with an officer because they had the best seats, the front row of the raised section in the back. But there was a disadvantage. If they were going to the second showing, on the way there they would meet the first house coming out, and the officer would have to return salutes all the way up to the North End Road, so he often insisted on going in before the end of the first showing. Of course, this meant seeing the end of the film before the rest of it, especially unappealing if it was a whodunit. And that's the end of our second section. We'll be back with the number 3 section in just a moment.